Hi, everyone. Welcome. This is Amy Cooper with Rise. It's Women's History Month, and we are interviewing exceptional women in insurance. And I'm so happy to bring Beth Fitch today to you, who is someone who's very near and dear to me, one of the first women I met in the insurance industry who inspired me. Beth, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Amy, for inviting me. I consider this just a privilege, and I am humbled by it. And I actually should be interviewing you because you are extraordinary.
Well, I appreciate your kind words. Very much look up to you and happy to have you here. So, for those who aren't familiar that might be watching, can you please tell us a little bit about your role in the industry?
So I am an attorney, if I have to admit it. I dye my hair. I've been practicing for 35 years. I'm in strictly insurance defense from day one. I was an insurance defense lawyer. And then over the years, my practice has changed and expanded as my role has too. So 15 years ago, Righi and I launched our own law firm, Righi Fitch Law Group. And we are now in 5 states: Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, Colorado, and yes, aloha, Hawaii. Mahalo to all of you. Yeah.
Awesome. So, you've had a very successful career. You have a very successful firm. Can you tell us if you could share a defining moment, something that you would attribute some of your success to?
So I would say the defining moment was when I had taken 4 years off from the practice of law. After 20 years of practicing, I had taken 4 years off because of I wanted to be a nonprofit, and I also had a son that needed me. And so I took 4 years off, and I came back. And what I realized is that nothing had changed and everything had changed. So everything that had changed was technology had really come on board. So there was so much flexibility for women and mothers to be able to practice law to fully. So that was what had dramatically changed, which allowed me to have the flexibility I needed in order to raise my children and also be successful in the practice of law. What nothing had changed is that the lawyers that I interacted with were the same. Almost everyone was the same. The law had not changed, and the structures in law firms had not changed. And I just flat out could not make it to the level I had been when I stopped practicing. So at that point, Righi and I decided to launch our own firm. And that to me was the defining moment, because I stepped into what I would call is my leadership style, which is entrepreneurial leadership. I am an entrepreneur. I grew up in an entrepreneurial family, and it allowed me to flourish in that role.
That's amazing. And so, I'm familiar too with Ladder Down, and others watching may not be, but can you talk about how important mentorship is, and if your experience with it, and tell us a little bit about that as well?
And so Ladder Down is a program designed for female attorneys who are seeking to fulfill their career potential. And we focus on direct training in 3 specific areas. Those 3 areas are leadership, business development, and then mentoring. And we've been running this program since 2013. This was an idea that was birthed at the DRI Diversity Conference when I was sitting there with my then associate, and all these statistics were rolling about, very disturbing statistics, mind you, about where women were succeeding or not succeeding, and where minorities were succeeding and not succeeding. And what was really happening is that in the practice of law, private practice, we would get to a certain level, but there truly was a glass ceiling. And so I left the DRI conference, I'm going to try to do something about that. And as I had said, I had gone into the nonprofit world for 4 years, and I knew about leadership. But in the law firm vernacular, we weren't even using the term leadership. We were talking about management. You know what management means? Making sure that you meet your billable requirements and you get the work done. And so I wanted to flip that and really help women learn about leadership, develop those skills. Business development is so vital in private practice, and then mentoring is my heart. So we started this program, and I co-founded it with Allison Christian. So in 2013, we launched it. It's a year-long program. We focus on a process that brings real change, because for change to occur, you need process and accountability. So it was a year-long process with direct teaching, small groups for accountability. I've been running that since 2013, and over 700 women have gone through it. And the word that I can use with absolute integrity is that this program has been transformational for 700 female attorneys. So this year, we launched Ladder Down 2.0 for insurance professionals. And we're now in the third month of that. We have 32 women in the cohort, extraordinary insurance professionals. So I don't know where it's going to go from here, but I do know this is a tool that is working and working fabulously to help women excel.
Yeah, and I have been a fan since day one when I met you. And thank you. You taught the Rise Mentor cohort our first round, and brought your experience with coaching mentors to Rise too. And I am so grateful for that. So thank you for that too. And plug for anyone who isn't familiar, go look up Ladder Down. I mean, check it out. It's a great program. So Beth, I want to ask you next if you have a strategy or approach that you've used for your own personal or professional development that you could share.
I would say the two most important values, if you will, is invest in yourself. Women have this idea that if you work hard, you get noticed. And you need to invest in yourself. You need to learn how to say no. So I've learned how to say no and focus on what are the asks of me that will fulfill my career potential or give me pleasure, thriving, whatever it is, because we can't silo our personal lives with our professional lives. So what I say yes to things that help me thrive in my practice and in my personal life. So learning to say no is really important. The other is fake it till you make it. There is the imposter syndrome that exists for women in particular, and learn to just fake it till you make it, because actually you're not faking it. So those are probably the two most important things: invest yourself, learn to say no, and going to the mentoring. I think the most important step I took in my career was hiring a business coach. While I've had mentors over the years, I hired a business coach, and that was life-changing for me.
That's excellent advice. Thank you for sharing. So I guess another question is, I think of you as always being authentic, but tell us a little bit about how you bring your authentic self to the workplace. Has it always been like that? Has it changed over your career?
I would say over since we launched the firm, we sat down and looked at what are our values going to be. And those values, we looked at who are we. And Rick and I actually have very similar Myers-Briggs personality preferences. And because of that, part of what we developed here is a culture of authenticity. And that's, 15 years ago, we have both. And this firm, I think, focuses and supports authenticity. And that has really allowed me to be who I am. And learning about me, I think self-awareness is the most important part of the journey. If you don't know who you are, then how can you be yourself? And the thing that has happened over the years, we have all these influences on us. We have all these mass media messages about, as women, who are we supposed to be? And those messages can be very negative, or not who we want to be. Then we have all this cultural context, our culture, our family, our friends, our work, all of that are influences on telling us who we need to be. So going through that self-exploration process of who am I really? Peel all that off. Who am I really? What makes me thrive? And how can I then be my authentic self? Because if you're thriving and you're doing what you want to do, it's much easier to be your authentic self.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, one last question, and on this, what advice would you give to women that are just getting started in the insurance industry if they're aspiring to be successful? I know you shared some wisdom already.
Well, certainly invest in yourself. Spend time. I would say set aside a specific time, maybe every day, at least once a week, to invest in yourself and look at what am I doing, and ask the question, is this what I want to be doing? And if not, what do I want to do? So that's one, and pursue it. And two, you should have a mentor. I really believe mentoring is vital. You need to surround yourself with people who will give you authentic, honest feedback. You want a mentor, and you want to find a sponsor who is someone that is not your mentor, but who wants to invest in you and will help you meet your career potential.
Oh, that is excellent advice. Thank you so much, Beth.
Thank you. It's so good to see you, and see
Yeah.
what Rise is doing. I love Rise. I talk about it all the time. I think it's amazing. I do.
Thank you so much. And for everyone else who's watching, please follow Rise for more interviews with exceptional women in insurance.
Thank you.